All right. Hey, guys, what's going on? My name's Chris Hawkes, and this is Your Best Life Defined. Oh, what a week. I'm glad it's almost done. I'm glad we are moving forward. I don't know what it is. What's funny is the retirement week is a different week than the working week. Retirement week is based on your energy levels. And I don't know if this happens to you, but I've never been this age before. But what happens is there's a cycle where I just go hard, go hard, go hard, and then I die. What's cool about that is that the distance between uh, where I just run out of gas has gotten bigger. So maybe that's a sign that I'm getting younger. Maybe it's a sign that whatever it is that was dragging me down, I'm either adapting to, or maybe I'm just getting some good juju from the universe because I'm working so hard at trying to help people live more of their life, have more fun. So maybe that's what it is. Hey, let's talk about this thing. So I've been looking around. I'm thinking about, okay, how do I explain this to you so it doesn't sound like you should hate everything you do, right? Because that was how the message started. I started by talking about how, everything in our life sucks. But if you own a lawn, you're crazy because that doesn't make you happy, and all kinds of just stuff like that. That's how great ideas evolve. So let's take a picture. I want to give you a story here. Let's take a picture. Let's take a look at your life, and if you can imagine this, basically the way I see it, your life is basically it's a pond. But instead of it being full of water, it's full of all of the experiences that you have. It's full of the things you know, the choices you've made, the history, the background on how you came to be, and your potential at that point, right? And when you think about living your best life, basically what that amounts to is right now you're sitting in the middle of your pond. And there are subsidiaries or whatever you call it, little rivers and creeks that go off of your pond. But you're sitting in the middle of your pond. You're in the big area and you don't take any of those alternate creeks. You don't go explore beyond the perimeter of your pond, right? That is your life. That represents your life. That represents your being. When you think about living your best life, that is just a measure from your standpoint. You are the judge, right? You are the judge. When you look at what you do every day, how your life exists within that pond, and how you feel about it, that's the gauge for whether you're living your best life. Now, this is where it kind of gets tough for people. I talk about putting energy in your tank. Okay, it takes energy to paddle upriver. I've done it. I spent the 2 months in Grand Rapids, paddled up the Grand River a couple times. You work your butt off. That's just the way it is, right? But that's what's required if you're going to leave your pond. That struggle you face when you decide, I'm not going to stay in the pond anymore. I'm going to go up river, up creek. I want to go see what's up here, right? What you face is you face the struggle of going upstream, going against the current, right? That's the living your best life part of it. That is the action part of it. That's where you say, hey, the pond is cool. I do this every day. I repeat this day in, day out, week in, week out. I think I'm going to go do something different. Well, once you make that choice, you decide to leave the pond. You decide to leave the comfort and the familiarity of where you are right now to go out on an adventure to discover something you haven't ever done, or you haven't ever experienced, or you haven't ever accomplished. And as you know, with new things, with things that you haven't accomplished, that you haven't mastered, comes the struggle of being committed to taking action on a regular basis, the struggle of figuring out how to do it, the struggle of facing failure. That's where living your best life comes in. See, this isn't going to be, there's nothing in this. You can go back and listen to every one of my podcasts and you'll never hear me say, hey, listen, this is easy. It's not easy. Change is never easy. Adding more responsibility to a life that's already full of crap you have to do takes a lot of endurance, and you have to have a good reason to do that, right? But that's the only way you leave your pond. Now, we've already talked about you can't see it, you can't be it unless you see it. You got to be able to visualize where you're going. That's a big part of leaving your pond. Instead of looking at Facebook and hating the people you know on Facebook, your friends, because their lives all look better than yours, go ahead and get pissed off. I don't mind that. Get pissed off at what they're doing and what their lives look like, and then do something about it. Maybe that's the story. I got that recently. I don't feel like I'm in quite as much control of my life as I want to be. I think some more money. I think I need some more resources to do things I still haven't been able to do. We're going to buy a house in a few years. I think, well, it'd be nice to just go ahead and pay cash for that house. So I've got all these ideas in my head, this story about what my life's going to look like. Well, I created that story and now I'm leaving the pond. This podcast, I left the pond 321 days ago. I'm still going upstream. I don't even know how far upstream I'm going with this. But I know one thing, I can still see that vision, that story, that idea around where it's going to take me, and that's why I keep showing up. The book, I don't know if the book is going to be a success. I have this idea in my head that it will be, because there sure are a lot of RVers in the world who don't know a lot of stuff about RVing, right? And I would imagine if the economy turns south, there's going to be a lot more RVers who say, man, we need to make an adjustment in our life because we cannot afford to buy a $400,000 house. And I mean, if you think about it, that's what's coming. Unless, of course, you're a millionaire, then it doesn't matter to you. But the people I hang out with aren't millionaires, right? The people I hang out with are working class people. And the majority of people don't make as much money as I did when I worked at the feds. And yet we are spending $400,000+ on homes, mortgages for 100,000 years or something like that. There's going to be a change. You're going to face some struggle. We're all going to face some struggle. The water's calm right now. You're just sitting around floating here, floating there. But the water's calm, but there's going to be some turbulence. And what's going to suck is it's amid that turbulence, and it's amid the economic crisis that could happen, or a resurgence of COVID-19, or some crazy-ass politician making some decision that changes your life, right? The next thing you know, you're having to leave the pond, not because you want to, because that pond is drying up. That pond doesn't even exist anymore because it changes you don't have any control over. This is important because if you learn to leave the pond while the water's calm, it might be a little scarier to leave the pond while the water's choppy, or while it's draining out the other side. And you may have to work a hell of a lot harder, but getting that practice, setting that mindset towards saying, you know what, we're okay here. I'm sitting idle, but this isn't good enough. I need to find an alternative to the life we're living right now, just in case life decides to hand me a crap sandwich, right? That's what I'm talking about when I say leave your pond. I leave my pond every day. I walk out there and I go to the park and I do martial arts, and I'm out there in the public and people see me doing pull-ups and push-ups, and of course I show up here and I'm that crazy old guy who keeps telling the same story maybe, but the reality is it's a really good story. And if you're not picking up on it, you're like, what do you mean leaving my pond? It might just be that you're not ready for it. I'm okay with that. I'm going to be here. And even after I die and I'm gone, depending on how old you are, you can go to YouTube or you can go to Podbean. I'm sure I'll be somewhere in the universe, right? I think I'll be somewhere where people say, wow, look what he did, right? You can jump on it. But my thing is, I look at what's going on and I don't think the struggle is over. I mean, I don't think the big struggle is over. We always struggle. I struggle every day. You do too. But I'm talking about there's still some stuff coming that we haven't come to grips with. We don't want it to happen, but I think there's still some struggle for all of us. Here's your opportunity right here. This is your opportunity to take a look around and evaluate your life from the standpoint of, when was the last time you challenged yourself or you took a step in any direction beyond where you've been for the last 6 months? Where you've decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this. It's scary. It takes some time. It's going to take a lot more effort. I don't have any guarantee that it's going to be successful, but I'm going to drive forward on it. And then you build a story around it and you go for it. You just jump in your kayak and you head upstream. And people go, you're crazy, you can't leave the pond, right? Yes, you can. You can leave the pond. In fact, you're crazy if you don't. Because let's take this another direction, because I want to make sure that you see what the true potential is, what's actually happening here, okay? Let's just say for a second that you actually leave that pond, and maybe your life is okay, but you just listen to what I'm saying and you head out. You say, you know, I'm going to try this. And you wake up in a year or in 6 months or in a month and you realize that one decision changed your entire life. I'm swimming upstream. One more podcast, swimming upstream. Got that kayak going full bore. My shoulders are aching. My abs are aching. Not stopping. I'm out of wind. Leave the pond. Leave the pond. Look for some little hidden tributary somewhere that you've never been before and create a story around it. Find out what's up that stream and say, you know what, I'm just going to test this out. I'm going to go talk to a counselor. I'm going to go look for online classes. I'm going to go ahead and do my resume on LinkedIn and see if maybe what I'm doing will increase my marketability, change my life, give me some experience I've never had before. That's what living your best life is. And the scary part about it is I look around and I see a lot of people sitting in their pond. They wake up when they wake up. They go through the motions they go through for the stuff they have. They show up at home at night and they repeat that process over and over and over again. And what's ironic about that is, so you hang out there and your pond includes all that stuff you own and all those things you do. And the minute you drop off the face of the earth, it doesn't matter anyway. Because the only thing that matters is the impact you have on the lives of those around you. Your children are watching, your friends are watching, and I guarantee when it comes to friends and family, don't look for their support. Don't look for them to tell you, oh yeah, great job, way to go. Especially if it comes to changing anything about your life. Because, let's face it, they're not going to do it. We want people to be like us. And if you pick up on that from this podcast, if I'm talking about this podcast, that's definitely true in this case. I want you to be like me from the standpoint of being willing to be uncomfortable, being willing to step outside your box and do things that you've never done on a whim, or maybe set a plan, get an idea in your head, paint that picture in your mind about what your life could be like, and allow that picture to guide your choices. To allow that image to push you past those hurdles that you think, oh my God, what did we do? Now, let me just clarify this. You don't head up river without blindfolded, okay? That's probably the best way to determine it. You don't head up a stream that you've never been on with a blindfold on. You're just like, well, we're heading upstream. We don't have any idea. You don't make crazy, rash decisions that obviously will impact your life in a negative way. I'm not advocating because you don't like working that you quit working, and because you love drinking beer, you drink beer. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is you showing up every day and you look at the pond you're in and you look at everything about your life and you say, you know what, I think it's time for me to make a move. Let's go ahead and explore this. I think if we go up here, we're going to be able to do this. I think if I do this, I will be able to have that. And down the road, I'll paddle, I'll struggle, I'll get over the hurdles, I'll fight the rapids, whatever it takes, but eventually what my choice will actually drive my life forward. It'll make it better. And the cool part about it is when you get that balance, when you make that 50% break even point on living your best life, and that is when you spend as much time doing what you love, what inspires you, as you do what you have to do because of your choices, you're about ready to win. In fact, you have won. Because if you think about that ratio right now, when it comes down to it, if you look at all the things in your pond, all the things you do every day to support your life, that you're obligated to, how many of those things actually make your life better from the standpoint of how you feel? How many moments in your day do you sit there and go, wow, check that shit out, man. Well, look what we did, right? If nothing else, 365 is a big number for me because once I hit 365, I can say, wow, look what I did. Pretty cool feeling. Not to mention the residuals. I'll mention this. I'm involved with an organization that does charitable work. They're a Christian organization. I'll probably be pumping those guys up because they are doing some really good work. They are taking care of other people, and I just feel like that's as a trade-off. I think I need to do more of that. So listen up for that. When you hear about that, be sure you jump in that too. And then again, that's another tributary. That is another way for me to leave the pond. I've never done anything like that. I have never partnered with anyone on any endeavor. So keep your eyes open for that. Keep listening for it. I'm really going to try and do some work with them. I'm excited about it because I really truly believe that the only thing that matters in life is the impact you have on those around you. And I'll be remembered for that. I'm sure I'll be remembered by someone for this effort right here. And that's really all that matters. That's the only way we can extend a legacy that extends, or have a legacy that extends beyond us. And I think that's something that we're shooting for. I hope you're excited about your life. I hope you wake up every day and you have this feeling of gratitude for the opportunity to take one more day and turn it into something better than you did yesterday, to create something that you didn't have in your life, or to go after something that you want in your life. Set your mind right, paint a great picture around it, and go after it. I'm here for you. I'll keep showing up. I hope you do the same. Please share. Please hit the like button. I know I keep asking for that, but that's how this message gets out. If you like what I'm doing and you're listening to what I'm doing, please introduce it to your friends. I really need the following, because right now this is all free bonus, and until I get some followers, until my numbers grow to some point, there is no compensation for this. This is free. Not that I know what I would do with that anyway, but hey, listen, guys, as always, let's not forget the kindness, and just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.